Welcome to Spoiler Club, where we break down how films are made and how they make us feel.
Working in film business ourselves, we got some opinions.
That's right. So let me ask you this, Igor. Have you ever been to somebody's house and you spot an upside-down pineapple?
No.
Okay, what about you go to a party and you see a bowl full of keys?
What are you talking about?
Sounds like we got to get this guy the invite.
Joe, you remember Peanut Hog?
Bit of a contentious environment in here, so I understand.
We love a contentious environment.
We're pulling up a chair for the invite, the dinner party comedy where marriage, monogamy, and manners all get roasted at the same table.
Hey, Charlie, what's with the pineapple and the keys? Like, you cut me.
Okay, supposedly, I haven't actually experienced this myself, but supposedly if you see an upside down pineapple, either decorative or a real pineapple, or a bowl of keys, that's a signal or a flag that those folks are swingers. It's called a key party. So if you go to a key party, there's a bowl and you literally just like toss your car keys or house key in the bowl. And at some point in the evening, everybody just randomly pulls a key out. And if I get your key, that means that we're gonna go upstairs and have fun together, even if you're not my partner.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it's another kind of party that you could get an invite to one day.
Wow, I had no idea, actually.
Dude, I gotta say, I loved The Invite so much. That was like one of my favorite movies. You too?
Me too, yes.
Of the year. It was so fun to watch in an audience and have like everybody laughing. I was belly laughing.
Oh my God, it was so funny.
It was so fun and so tight. The performances were just like exciting. I was leaning in and cringing and excited and it was great.
It was so good, and I actually was thinking about how hard it is to make a film like that. Like a tragic comedy is like one of the hardest genres to master. And I felt like it was so impressive. The build-up, and then the release, and the sad parts. I was almost like sobbing at some moments, and then it's just the dynamic is so impressive.
Absolutely. And the pacing through the whole thing. I mean, we largely are encased in one apartment for the full film. Right. And, I use the word like pressure cooker because that's what it kind of feels like from the minute Seth Rogen like walks through the door with his bike and then lays down on the carpet and you feel the intense anxiety that Olivia Wilde is having about, these neighbors coming over for dinner and wanting everything to be just perfect from the layout, the spread on the table, and, the desire to impress these new people. And from there, for me, the tempo does just not slow down. It's like a Marvel movie, but like way better. I'm like, I was entertained the whole time with this rapid tempo, the rapid repartee of the dialogue between the characters. And I felt that delicious uncomfortableness. It's like watching people who are trying their best to keep their manners, like polite society, but things are just unraveling. And yet they can't unchain themselves from this dynamic. It's like they're handcuffed to the politeness of being at this dinner party and things just start to go sideways real fast. I almost had this feeling like I was watching a piece of live theater. Did you get a similar sense?
It's interesting that you said that because it's actually remake of Spanish film Sentimental. And that film is based on a play. So that's why it felt so theatrical.
It's contained to the one set, so that has, I think, risks when it's a film too, right? Because, if the performances aren't captivating as the audience, we can get a little bit bored. But with those 4 actors, there was no opportunity for us to get bored, right?
Right. And you know what was impressive for me? The fact that the film was shot in less than a month.
Wow.
I think they shot it in like 27 days. And they only had 2 weeks of actual rehearsals.
Okay.
Which makes sense because the actors, those are super, super expensive actors. But at the same time, it's really, really impressive because it's so dialogue heavy.
Yes.
And being able to prepare in 2 weeks, like, you know how it is, like even to learn, you know, all of the dialogue, memorize it, that will take you a while.
And they all had such like defined characters. They knew who they were. And, you know, there were these archetypes that we knew who they were pretty darn quick too, right? Like Olivia's character really wanted to impress, and she was so proud with the design of her home. And Penélope Cruz comes in and is just like oozing charm and intellect and sex appeal from every pore. And Edward Norton was like super fun too. I also had this sense that they came in, but they checked their egos at the door. Like those are 4 big stars, you know? And they just had an effortless way of working together. Even somebody like Seth Rogen, who we might expect to be working at kind of like a different velocity in terms of their comedy.
Right. I almost felt like he was at maybe 7-10%. Most of the time, because I think he can give so much more, but the fact that he was so restrained, it was like for me, it opened up him even more as an actor, because I just saw this new, you know, angle to him that I never saw, that he can actually deliver, you know, this complex, almost tragic comedic role.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's quite impressive. Something that Edward Norton actually said about the rehearsals, that they had almost this like ping pong thing when they were feeding each other. And because the screenwriters were also present during rehearsals, they actually were like rewriting the scripts as they went.
Wow.
So they would basically see what's organic, what's natural to them, and maybe and actually they pulled some stories from experience of screenwriters, and they were trying like to shape it as they were rehearsing. And that's why I think it feels so organic when their relationships, it feels, and even the fact like how they speak to each other, and that they talk on top of each other and they interrupt, and that's very hard to write. I think those are elements that come only from actual rehearsal and repetition.
Absolutely. And there's so much unspoken conversation between these couples too, I find, right? Where it's just with a simple look from Penelope to Edward Norton, it's like whole worlds and like what all happened last night kind of goes through their minds, and we get to imagine it. And the same with Olivia and Seth, just like with a cutting glance across the dinner table, like, shut up. Like when she doesn't want him to say, we've been hearing you have like loud and obnoxious and likely wonderful orgasmic sex upstairs every day. Would you keep it down?
Right. And I think because of the nature of intimate rehearsals like that, they went, instead of going into like blocking and learning the spots and just, you know, memorizing the very strict script, they just let themselves loose a little bit, and it feels more organic. There's a couple of, like, you can see in the framing with mirrors and framing people in the door frames. There's definitely work, like impressive work from a DP to make it pretty beautiful and like symbolic in a way, because it's framing people in the windows or in door frames. Like, but at the same time, I think it was dictated by the rehearsals, like the positioning, and so they not in this as stiff, you know, blocking as usual. Like you have to stay at certain angle and then you're in the light.
No, I agree with that in terms of, I think, you know, what you said about reflective surfaces and windows. It's cool because we're talking about, you know, a film where we're exploring sensuality, some aspects of vanity in terms of like wanting to be seen by others, to be, you know, there's a scene where it's revealed that, you know, Olivia doesn't mind walking by this window in just a towel or disrobing, knowing that she might be seen by neighbors from above, you know? And so I thought they did an excellent job with those revealing moments.
I thought that was quite brilliant, because it also illustrates something that we all have when we are envious of other people, because we don't know them enough. Like, no one is really perfect. The only perfect people we don't know, right?
That's such a beautiful and poetic way to phrase it. The only perfect people are people that we don't know. Totally.
Well, that's how it felt for them, like, because they
Yeah.
were expecting them. That's why I think, the husband, he didn't want to invite them because he didn't want to see this perfect couple, in your face, that everything is working out and everything. And then as they unravel, that's why it was so satisfying to watch him, as he was so depressed. And then he was almost gleeful. He was so excited that
He became giddy that this
Yeah.
could happen, right?
yes, and not just because of that, but also because how flawed they were themselves.
Yeah.
Like the guests were like, it was not perfect. They were fighting. They had those little moments, and he was like almost like happy that this is happening with them. He was like looking back at her, and he was like, yeah, look, they also not happy.
Totally. You mentioned the word subtle before, and I thought like it's such a great word for both Seth Rogen's performance. Like one of my favorite moments in the film is this one where they're kind of on the precipice of like, are we going to do this or are we not going to do this or what's happening? There's so many looks going around to everybody in the room. And he, says like, so just to be clear, like you and her and me, like he's so
Right.
like in disbelief that he gets to be part of this sex party potentially. And it's like you said, it's a bit of a departure from the big physical comedy that we're used to him doing, and seeing him in this place of like authenticity and vulnerability that draws us in. I also wanted to mention Olivia Wilde, like another study for me of mastery of skills. Like
Right.
she's mastering directing and she is mastering her performance. Like it's a tough thing to do.
Oh, how hard it can be on set. You playing the role, and then you have to put the director's hat.
And you're with these other like, big stars, and she knocked it out of the park in my mind. Like there's moments, just like a single tear at some points, and the framing is beautiful, and she was gorgeous in her frenetic, wild energy.
I think she's
And
in
her
her
stillness.
I think she's in her prime. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that's the prime Olivia
What
Wilde.
a
Like,
pro.
It was so impressive, and it just keeping the dynamic, even like dynamic of speech and reaction, is that quite impressive. Like the breath control and just being able to deliver lines like that, and also like there's such a range of she being almost falling in love, delusional with the neighbors,
Yeah.
all the way until this disbelief that this is the situation, until almost being gleeful that, oh, we are included, we're gonna do this, right? And it was so impressive, to experience this film. I truly believe this is, for me, it's probably best film of the year.
I know, it kind of sounds like we like it.
Yeah, we definitely like it. We literally stay in this one set, and so your toolbox is 4 actors, camera, lights, and this small set. It's not a huge set. I'm sure it was all, modular, and you could remove walls to bring the lights, all of that stuff. But still, it's still kind of like more of a claustrophobic sort of film when you stay in few rooms, basically. It's just very impressive to being able to achieve such a range with such a limited tools. And almost like when we left the movie theater, I talked to my wife, and I was just like perplexed. I was like, this is so impressive. Yeah. Like I was so jealous. I'm like, being able to execute this on top of your game. All of them were on top of their game. The whole production crew were on top of their game. And just how hard it is, like knowing how hard it is to like squeeze
A good scene.
like seat clenching,
Yes.
Entertainment.
It's just a dinner party, but what a dinner party.
It's crazy. But that's where I think the roots of it, coming from the play, coming from theater, come out.
Because its genesis was a play,
Yes.
it had the opportunity to explore and gel for the theater first, to test with a live audience night after night. Where are the
yes.
jokes?
Yes.
Where's the rhythm? And so like what a perfect roadmap to then, take that and adapt it for screen.
I thought Adam Newport Barrett, the cinematographer,
was a master of lighting in this case because it was also unnoticeable. He knew also when to step away, for the a lot of intense scenes you didn't saw, like insane framing and reflections and mirrors, because intensity was there in the performance. So sometimes you need to know when to step away and make cinematography invisible. And in some moments, you just get the artistic flair. And I think they had just enough of a balance of artistic flair and, being discreet in this film that it really worked for me.
I think so too, because the movie is also about keeping up appearances, as it were, right? So it's a dinner party. These folks have not hung out before. So, you're having people over to your house for the first time. You're going to, sweep the floor and put the flowers out and make the lighting as best as you can. And so a lot of it has that kind of practiced perfection. And then there's a scene happens with Olivia Wilde and Edward Norton in their bedroom, which is not a sexy space for Olivia and Seth right now. It feels like the lights are a little too bright, revealing everything. It's kind of cluttered and, and again, with the lighting and cinematography to make that choice, to make it feel a little too bright and therefore revealing of character and revealing of their sex life at this time.
And one of the most emotional and I think sexual sort of tension moment was when they were just against the wall with the paint with Edward Norton. And they just against the wall. And that goes against all the possible rules. You literally have two actors
There's no
against
depth.
the wall, no depth, no perspective. And it was the most intimate moment. It was the first moment when this sort of intimacy, I think, develops between the characters, and I felt like this is very ballsy move to put them against the wall. Not it was just, that's where I feel like this type of cinematography and this type of camera work for the Adam the DP stood out for me, because he knew when to actually make it invisible and fade away and just let us stay with characters. Read this.
Oh, it looks Greek to me.
No, read it, please.
Mavropsaridis. Yorgos Mavropsaridis. That's my best.
So it's
guess,
either
but
his
I think
version
it's
or
Greek.
my version. But Yorgos, editor of another Yorgos Lanthimos.
okay.
And he basically worked on his films, The Favorite, Poor Things,
Oh,
Kinds
love
of
those
Kindness.
movies. Oh my gosh.
So
So good.
This is, again, another person that's top of their game, that's already did, amazing artistic
Some
films.
of our favorites.
Some of our favorites, for sure. I mean, for me, Poor Things, it's just...
For me, the favorite.
Favorite film.
Yeah.
And the fact that he knows how to work in this high-paced, artistic environment with really, really strong dialogues, because he lets it breathe a lot. That's where, because, from editor comes pacing in a lot of ways, especially when you have a lot of angles. All the pacing is built on, on the editing table. And I feel that he really knows how to pace things and let us breathe and let the jokes sink in, or the really sad moment really play out with emptiness, with pauses, with the reaction shots. And it was just really impressive to me to just experience, editing on such a high level. It just because of the caliber of the actors that we have there and the way they delivering it, multiply it by this, impeccable pacing, and you get something, shivers. The whole film was shot on 35mm film, and it's a very talkative film. And if you know anything about shooting on film, then it's really, really expensive, and you're not going to have a lot of takes. So isn't it kind of funny that this is probably the most dialogue heavy film this year.
Absolutely.
Because they also talk on top of each other. So it's even, it's
to
double
wall.
dialogue.
Yeah.
So I feel like, and you have to be so precise with shooting on film because you can't have many takes. So the pressure is on. So not just the actors, for sure, on top of their game, but now they have the challenge of limited takes and not being able to, continuously doing this. And I thought that was almost, why would you punish yourself as a director?
They had a 2-week rehearsal period,
Right.
which would be logical. You would want to know camera angles, movement, like you would want like everybody's performance and dialogue down. If I was directing, I think I would want to have a camera up though, even if I was shooting digital, some of those rehearsals towards the end, just so you had a real sense of like, how is this going to play? Because we talked about there is movement in this. This is not just a static dinner party. We stay at the table the whole time. No. We get, 2-shot coverage, singles, and we're done. There's movement.
And the movement is really chaotic, and you can see that like they were running away, seemingly random, and like the positions they take, he falls on the floor and stuff. But as you know, like in film, nothing is random. Everything is staged.
It's marked,
everything is predetermined. To
the centimeter.
to the millimeter sometimes, especially for such a tight framing
Yeah.
and such intricate shots with reflections. Like you have to be precise from handling such a dialogue-heavy script, to being in such a restricted, set, to shooting on film, having the limited amount of film stock, being extremely expensive, having extremely expensive actors. Margin for error is like
So small.
so small.
And they knocked it out of the park.
It was impressive. It was literally experiencing something unbelievable for me.
Yeah.
It was just from technical standpoint to artistic standpoint, it was unbelievable that you can pull it off. I was
Home run.
100%. Hey, spoiler, thank you for staying with us till the end.
If you're thinking about throwing a party like that, make sure you notify us in the comments below. I want my invite.
And don't forget to leave suggestions for the next episode.
And cut.
Good job.